morning, everybody. What's going on? Excited about these 2 days coming up to talk about robotics. I think I see a lot of passionate faces in the audience, and I kind of sense there are lots of builders, but also lots of business people, right? Which try to gain value actually from deploying all these kind of exciting technology. So how exciting is to be invited here for the Asia Pacific Annual Summit for ROS Industrial Consortium managed by ARTC. I think when we talk about robotics in AWS, of course, a lot of the cool stuff are always happening in the US, in Japan, maybe a bit of Korea. So I'm really excited to be here today and talk about it in Singapore. And what an exciting mission to focus on the next generation robotic products and solutions, standardization, but also training by enabling the robotic community. And it's a big robotic community full of good fans over there. Thank you, Maria, and the ARTC team for inviting me. Thank you for the keynote speech previous. I think, and again, I would like to congratulate you as well for what happened a few weeks ago when ARTC launched the AI Innovation Center. I think this is a fantastic step forward into enabling the vision of Singapore to become the industrial hub, and maybe at the global scale, a scale for AI-driven manufacturing. I'm pleased to be here today to share some of the observations that we did in AWS, in Asia, but not only, about how AI and robotics are driving innovation in the manufacturing for different purposes. To introduce myself, I am Mirela Jurable. I'm a data and AI specialist in ASEAN at AWS. I've been 3 years with AWS, and basically my job is to talk to customers and partners how they can leverage AI, Gen AI, and data to drive innovations and achieve operational excellences, and also build a very strong data foundation, which is the key step for the broader digital transformation. As a background, I've been 20 years in the industry, always at the forefront, always on digital technologies, IoT, digital twins, AI, always facing resistance, right? Always facing resistance to the inertia, always not taking no for an answer. And I think everybody here in the room has probably experienced this throughout their careers. But yes, been in telco, right? Very structured, very process-driven due to the scale they have to face, and also in manufacturing, in industrial, working for a powerhouse such as Siemens, which is also a partner in ARTC here. And, okay, let me see if I know how to use the clicker. And today I did not come alone. I also brought my home collection of robots. They are not very smart, but R2D2 is very good at fixing things, while Wally is very good at cleaning the planet, cleaning the home, while my daughter and my cat are very good at messing everything up. So a very good human-robot collaboration, okay? At least in my imagination, which would like to get things done. With this introduction, let's get started. And I'm going to start with a quote from Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon Corporation, which includes multiple business. And the reason I chose this quote is because it's at the core of everything that AWS does, right? Because invention comes in many forms and shapes and scales. But the most radical and transformative of inventions are often those that empower others to unleash their creativity. So, and I think this is what we do in AWS, basically. We empower others partners, customers to unleash their creativity, because we offer a large breadth and depth of services. We call it a toolbox, right? From infrastructure to advanced services that can help people build and unleash innovation. Today, we're going to go through a lot of content. I have lots of things to share, and I always get over time, but I will try to keep in time. But just to walk you through my agenda very quickly, we'll talk about digital transformation, because I want to set a little bit of context. And I hope you will resonate with this context here today. I will share some lessons that we learned from Amazon Group, application of AI and robotic services. I will talk about how you can build robots on AWS and how AWS helps companies to build robots. I will then expand it further beyond robotics, how AI and data and cloud enable manufacturing actually to innovate and transform in this journey of digital transformation. I have some customer examples of benefits they have achieved by digitalizing of energy in Europe and globally. And then I have a short demo that encompasses actually a large range of technology application in a context of a broader digital twin. So let's get started. Okay, digital transformation. We're talking about this for ages, right? Since the last millennia, since the 90s. But even today, we are at a point where we still can say it is still difficult. Okay, in around year 2010, when IoT emerged as a exciting technology that became it created a lot of excitement about the ability to finally realize the concept of Industry 4.0 and innovate and scale and be able to empower business decision makers to sit at home or in a children football game, right? And to identify alerts and send crews and solve problem on the shop floor. But even with IoT, this was still difficult, and it is still difficult today. However, the benefits are there, and they are observed by the innovators which have already adopted technologies in their industry. These are some numbers from McKinsey. These are some reference numbers. However, in AWS, when we work with customers and partners, we do observe different ranges of productivity improvements. For example, we work in the US, not only in the US actually, with Koch Industries and Invista, which they have deployed a connected worker solution first in one factory, but then expanded to several factories, and they see significant productivity improvement, machine downtime reduction, and I think this is one of the common pattern, right? And one of the now, I would say, commodity, maybe not, but when it comes to condition monitoring and predictive maintenance, I think today this is one of the common solutions we see, and we've seen significant improvements with Toyota, for example, all around the world. 10 to 30% throughput increase, right? By minimizing downtime and by improving the processes, we can achieve throughput increase, and last but not least, cost of the quality improvement. So the benefits are there, and customers, they are realizing it at different levels. However, when it comes to progressing on the digital transformation, 70% of manufacturers haven't been able to scale beyond pallets. We call it the pilot purgatory, right? And why? I think there are many reasons for that, but a few common patterns. Lack of IT-OT communication, okay? The eternal divide between IT teams and OT teams and different objectives and different concerns. as well as the starting point of this particular pilot. Sometimes C-suite is suddenly deciding we need to digitally transform, we need to adopt digital technologies without fully consulting the entire company. On the same time, with a bottom-up, you have small innovating teams which are triggering amazing pilots, but they do not have the capabilities to scale beyond their team or beyond their departments. And then you have the technology, right? You have the security aspects which are not taken properly into consideration at a holistic level. And you have some cool technologies, but they are not properly integrated into the business process, into the lean practices, or without the proper change management in place. But because let's not forget the resistance part, right? We need all these technologies to be adopted. Okay, so what does it mean to be digital? And I think here we can have different answers, right? If we ask the audience in the room, we can have different answers depending on each of your business. But I think it's adoption, right, of a very large range of technology. But not only this, focusing on bridging the gap between IT and OT, ultimately taking a data-driven approach and going through your data maturity journey, trying to think how to get all this data, structured all this data, and expose it to the consumers, to the organization, to the different teams, under in the condition of the proper governance, security, structure, and approval mechanism. And I think these are some points of being digital in this space. And all this is to reaching the IT and OT, and actually we call it to gain an unfair competitive advantage, comparing to the people who don't do that, right? Competitive advantage in terms of performance, productivity, efficiency, sustainability, which actually leads to the increased competitive advantage on the market. So what have we learned in our experience? Digital transformation relies on bridging the gap between IT and OT when it comes to manufacturing and industrial in general. And I think the benefits can be significant, and it can help the companies progress into this path, right? And this is a common pattern and an observation. So everybody started with traditional manufacturing, with low automation and low data transparency. I think beyond there, we start to sensorize the machines and the old and new, and to start to get some data and achieve visibility across some important downtimes. And we call the stage of connected manufacturing. And I think we are there, probably in Singapore with ARTC support companies are moving beyond there towards software-defined factory, which for us means progression into the automation, as well as into the data maturity curve, collecting data from as many relevant points on the shop floor, having an overarching transparency to be able to take informed decisions. And all this progressing towards the ultimate goal, lights out manufacturing. This is not an AWS term, right? This is an industry term. And I like it. I personally like it because it illustrates the level of automation and the level of automation and application of technology which can actually allow a factory to operate with minimum human interventions, almost without light, with the light switch off. So hopefully this is something that we can all aspire to, for it to improve efficiency, but also to liberate towards the brains, towards more innovation and high-value tasks. Okay, so that was the context on the digital transformation. Now, a little bit about the digital transformation with AI and robotics across the entire Amazon group. As you know, there are many companies, not only AWS, and we are very pleased that most of these companies are using actually AWS services. Of course, the biggest company is Amazon.com, the e-commerce tool, which is powered by ML all around for personalization, for recommendation, for sentiment analysis, and now recently with Gen AI, with shopping assistant Rufus. I don't think it's available yet in Singapore, will be soon, but that will allow you to literally shop around with assistance. AI powers as well our fulfillment center and our supply chain to ensure proper forecast and capacity planning. Alexa, very familiar, fully powered by ML algorithm, talked about personalized recommendation, not only on e-commerce site, but also on Prime Video as well. And on the podcast tool, delivery with Amazon Drone, I think we are all familiar, computer vision capabilities for Amazon Air, but also for Amazon Go. Rufus, I talked about, and then the infrastructure that we are developing internally to power AI training and inference at a higher cost and performance balance. So this is how AI is applied across all Amazon businesses, and every team is continuing to innovate now with Gen AI, and I'm sure there will be new launches very soon as we approach reInvent. But we also see a lot of robotic innovation at scale in Amazon, because today Amazon has a very, I would say, customer-obsessed promise towards their customers in terms of delivering SLAs. And all the machine behind to ensure the Prime and the delivery SLAs is powered by very powerful fulfillment centers, which operate by the clock. Okay, and we're talking about 200 fulfillment centers, which are managing more than 750,000 robots coming in different shapes and forms. And here is an example. You have probably seen this before on YouTube, in every other situation, but you can see here the example of a completely unmanned fulfillment center which carries different packages and sorting them and preparing for delivery. We're talking about moving robots which need to orient themselves in the space, right, and need to interact with other robots. We're talking about robotic arms. We're talking about conveyor belts powered by different technologies, from IoT, from AI/ML, from simulation capabilities. All these to work with minimum interaction. And just as a powerful example, all the conveyor belts are also operated by our predictive maintenance, Monitron, to anticipate any upcoming failures. Good. So yeah, a bit of text of what you have just seen about what's in the back. Amazon and Amazon Robotics, they are leveraging AWS services, infrastructure for AI/ML training, inference, SageMaker, and in terms of savings, they have, by using the cloud, they have achieved significant savings, 70%, improved model performance and scalability across hundreds of millions of inferences per day. Okay, so this was Amazon. I hope this inspired you about autonomy and how a robot-driven automatic fulfillment center can run. So now, building robots on AWS. And this is where the fun part starts, because this is where our technical experts love talking to customers and partners and sharing on how AWS technologies are helping them innovate. And we're talking about different levels of technology, from collecting telemetry data or vision data, testing and validating with high performance compute and our simulation tools, either in-house, either with third-party ISVs. And we have Cheng here, which is our expert in high-performance compute and simulation. Over-the-air software updates and provisioning, machine learning operations, as well as fleet management, remote teleoperations. All these to help robot builders to build intelligent and connected faster, to train robots to perform complex tasks, to continually help to collect telemetry data and continually improve the research and development process in a closed-loop digital twin kind of concept, as well as test new capability using simulation tools. But not only this, besides the robot builders, customers that actually use robots, they are concerned about scalability. And not only scalability, for large enterprises concerned, how can we integrate these robots into our environment, make them work with other robots or humans? How can integrate all this in our process? There is no AWS presentation without an architectural reference, okay? And I did not put any services here, but I have put some functional capabilities, because basically everything I said resumes to a few flows. And I don't know about you, but I think for me, every time I see this architecture, I can just remove the rest of the slides and just use one. But it's all about connecting the robots, right, to the cloud. And here we offer a various range of connectivity capabilities, from IoT to real-time video streamings, scenario-based testing, enterprise partner solution. We work with a lot of ISVs, which develop software to manage complex fleets of robots and manage interoperability between different vendors, manage fleets of robots, ensure that over-the-air software update or task update, and then extend constantly the capability through video streaming, log capture, security device. And all this in the context of the security and scalability and constant innovation of the AWS entire cloud infrastructure. Good. Some examples here. We do have a very large customer in Australia, which is called Woodside. You probably learn in energy, and they have a very remote location, Pluto, which is far away. And it's very expensive to get there, and it's very expensive to employ people to actually work far away on that island where the gas plant is. So they, as a result, they have installed more than 200,000 sensors. They have built a digital twin of the facility, but they also equip lots of robots inspection. They work with Boston Dynamics as well to perform different tasks, such as monitoring asset in operation, identify thermal anomalies, gas presence, update the digital model, and all this achieved them significant gain because, as I said, that location is very far away. It takes hours to get there. And that was one example, and I have a few more examples. SD Engineering here in Singapore. We have the pleasure to work with SD Engineering with one of their robotic projects, whereby they decided to leverage AWS Cloud for one of their robotic as a service. project, basically fully developing the software management and robotic framework in our cloud to be able to manage several types of robots here in Singapore. AgroIntelli, it's an Italian company, but multinational. They do provide agricultural robots for harvesting. And in this case, one of their key challenge is actually OTA updates and remote assistant, because interrupting the activity of these robots can actually directly impact the productivity of the harvest. Seafloor, that's a very interesting company, because what they do, they monitor, they develop this kind of unmanned sea exploration robots, which which they map the sea floor. I think we all know the Google cars, right? With the camera on top, which are mapping the street. Well, this is the equivalent for the seawater. And for them, it's very important to communicate over the air with the robot, but also to reduce the time to development of these robots. That's another interesting one, maybe a little bit more unusual, because Lunar Outpost, they actually manufacture robots that they are looking to inspect the space around the Earth and also clean some of the debris. And to actually manufacture such robots, typically the time to development was 10 years. And today with AWS, they have reduced it to 3 years, which is quite significantly. And they are able to capture data from space and send it safely to Earth. And I cannot say I'm a telco person if I don't choose a 5G use case. And this is where I have one from Japan. Okay, it is a company called Makino, and they are a Japanese milling manufacturer, which use this kind of robots on their shop floor and warehouses, right? It's a very similar use case with Amazon, but what they wanted was to fully manage this fleet of robots, leveraging the 5G network, because the Wi-Fi network and all the other networks, they were not stable in their premise. So as a result, they have leveraged the 5G network of KDDI, powered by a service of AWS called Outpost, which basically brings the cloud capability closer to the 5G network to reduce the latency. This service is not available in Singapore, it's today in Japan, but this is a very interesting use case and I wanted to share with you. Okay, so this is robotics in AWS. We have a super cool conference which is called RIMARS, which is happening in Las Vegas. I invite you to Google if you are curious. After that, it's a yearly conference, but it's also, all the materials are public, so you can get in touch with more innovations and what's the latest and greatest in robotics in AWS. Okay, so now let's go beyond robotics. Let's talk a little bit on a broader scale across manufacturing. And I think Maria, she shared a similar picture, maybe different words, but I think we're talking about the exactly same thing, because today AWS is helping manufacturers transform and leverage data to innovate and gain benefits across different areas, from engineering and design and product lifecycle management. Again, a lot of high-performance compute and simulation tools here, and a lot of input from real-time data, to smart manufacturing, which I think I don't need to go through it because I've seen ARTC has some amazing demos here, which I saw last time. Supply chain transformation, smart products and services. And this is a very important area because it helps customer innovate and transform the business models from going from hardware up to as a service, right? And subscription model, printing as a service, milling as a service, and so on. And last but not least, sustainability. Sustainability, which is now becomes a regulatory impediment, but also a company ambition and requires company to go back and look at the data to be able to monitor and see their operations and see how they can comply with the sustainability goals. I'm not going to go into details, but again, back to the technical architectures, literally when it comes to the services that can be leveraged, everything, we can look from southbound to northbound, or northbound, we start with the use cases and then come back southbound to identify what data we need and what ingestions and connections we can make. Or if we look southbound, we have all these systems from the PLC or machines, historians, SCADA systems, connected product, MES, PLM, ERPs, MROs, or logistic system, and not only SAP data as well, IoT sensor data, which are ingested through different mechanisms to the cloud for insights and for meaningful decision-making information. Okay, no presentation without Gen AI, okay, these days, because this is the top of mind of everybody. And after talking to customers and partners around the world, some common patterns that we notice of use cases in manufacturing. Knowledge management. Knowledge management for different layers of the organizations, from technicians, legal, contract, supply chain, but also top management. How can we empower them with assistance that can give them the right information at the right time within the boundaries of the enterprise, right? Not internet tools, okay? Customer experience, yes, improving the customer experience with agents assistance and personalized design generation. Oh, lots of things happening here through content generation and media. Text generation, summarization, conversational use case, and research generation. So lots of things, and this is not an exhaustive list. And while we talked about the use cases, let me share about the stack today, because I think everybody should keep in mind. Again, when it comes to Gen AI, we should always follow the model. Builder or buyer, right? User or developer. And at AWS, we offer a range of services which is targeting both. If we talk about, of course, for model developers, we have the infrastructure, no question about it, but about developing Gen AI application, we have Amazon Bedrock, through which customers can leverage the best models to their use case, as well as different tools, such as guardrail agents, to embed into their applications. And last but not least, Q. There's a very famous Star Trek episode with Q, a very intelligent alien, which I recently saw. But Q is our tool. You can actually plug it into different level of enterprise data and just use it. We have connector from more than 50 sources. So that's the portfolio. But for AI and Gen AI to work, we need data. So we need a very strong data foundation. And for the last couple of years, actually, this is one of the things that came up from all this Gen AI conversation. To actually get the value from Gen AI, companies need a strong data foundation encompassing both IT and OT data. And data foundation can mean quite a few things, right? It's not only technology, but it's also the mindset, the vision of the management, the people, and the process. And I'm going to speed up a little bit because I have just a few minutes, but digital transformation is greatly accelerated when we have the data. If we don't have the data, we need to go back to square one and try to get the data. And the example of customer I wanted to share with you, NSG, which is one of the large glass products manufacturer in the world. They did have the data, and they used it. And they used it to identify failures on the shop floor, and they have built digital twins, and they plotted the data on the real-time digital twins powered by our partner Metaport, and to be able to identify the failure in the equipment and to act fast. And this is how, after implementation of this solution, they managed to save more than 100,000 pounds in just a few weeks by identifying one of the ovens was broken and was consuming, besides creating the quality issues, was consuming a huge amount of energy. Okay, and last but not least, digital transformation is human-centric, because ultimately all this technology needs to be embraced, used, leveraged, and help the humans. And to do that, obviously we do notice that with Gen AI, we try to work, and the assistants that which are leveraging Gen AI, it can simplify the way humans can interact with machines in a much friendlier, user-friendly way. And here I have an example. Again, a digital twin, but this time is a demo. It's not a real one, okay? We have a cooking factory, which has leveraging Gen AI and digital twin and IoT to actually help identify issue. For example, in this case, a misshaped cookie, to identify what can be the potential root causes and suggest next steps, right? Through a communication, interaction between an agent, AI agent, human to digital twin. And I am very excited about this concept to communicate with the digital twin directly so that they can give the information. So we have identified the incident and potential causes. Now we need to inspect the incident. And the digital twin is helping us to go to the respective machine, inspect the process, which is nicely put in a knowledge graph here, review the historical of different parameters and so on, and then identify potential how to fix it. And when we do that, then we can send somebody on the ground, and we can empower them with the standard operation procedure to actually fix that, those issues and temperature fluctuations. And then and with this, they can resolve and they can log the incident as resolved in the system. So you can see the whole end-to-end cycle of detecting an incident up to identifying the root cause, the standard operation procedure to fix, and then to close the incident. So quite exciting. And all along the way, the people are helped by the AI agents. Okay, good. So approaching the end, I hope you enjoyed the demo. I will have a QR code later for the developers in the room. If you want to duplicate it, we have some samples, templates on GitHub. But a few key learnings, I think we all agree that digital transformation, it requires working backwards from the business goals, build a solid data foundation, repeatable data foundation to give visibility and transparency. Start with the scale in mind, select the right partner ecosystem. And this is why ROS is here to partner with the industry and the government, and IRTC likewise. Take a human approach and embrace the future, innovate. And again, not an AWS presentation without a few materials, right, to go deeper if you wish to, and to find more customer examples, but also a few other cool new launches on generative AI and the GitHub sample on how to build your own AI-enabled digital twin. And with this, Thank you so much. I hope I'm in time. I don't know if we have time for questions, but we can always talk during the lunch break. Thank you so much.